Assault Android Cactus, the first game released by Witchbeam, at its core is a twin-stick shooter with a splash of bullet hell. Now digging a bit deeper will uncover an impressive amount of depth, 9 playable characters that all bring very different playstyles to the table, plenty of cool unlockables, and a frame rate that consistently hits 60 frames per second. The story begins with Cactus responding to the distress call of a space freighter. And upon arrival, it becomes evident that the worker robots have gone rogue, and it'll be up to Cactus to bring things under control. Now along the way, Cactus will meet other androids willing to lend a hand, and they offer up their own wildly different weapon expertise. Now the story here is simple, and works totally fine as a backdrop to the gameplay. Though I have to admit that the voice work done for each android left me really impressed. And it's also a really nice touch to see each android have their own lines depending on who you take into battle. Now instead of limiting you to a set number of lives, the game revolves around a depleting battery. Now when the battery is completely drained, it's game over, simple as that. To keep that from happening, you'll need to deal out as much damage as possible to cause battery charges to drop. Now unlike other twin-stick shooters, it is absolutely necessary to go on the offensive and to sometimes take risk. Time is not on your side, and that absolutely works in this game's favor. I love how hectic stages can be as I'm flying around large hordes of robots and launching rockets in every which direction. It's both fun and extremely rewarding to come out of a tight situation completely unarmed. What's also interesting is that dying isn't the end of the world. Now it could easily hurt your current run, but until you've mastered the game, death is expected. What's key is realizing that death resets your weapon power, trashes any of your current power-ups, and ultimately costs you a few very precious seconds. Now can you go on to beat a stage after death? Absolutely, but it'll dramatically impact your final grade. What's also interesting is that taking damage isn't inherently a bad thing. As long as you can take the hit, it might actually be worth putting yourself in the line of fire just to dish out some extra damage. Now all of this works and comes together thanks to great controls and 9 playable characters that all bring something new to the table. It's really fun to learn how each character plays, and it's also quite rewarding to figure out what character works best in what situation. For instance, Coral's secondary is a plasma field that works wonders as a method of crowd control, while Holly's primary weapon, the Seeker, works great for hordes of wasp enemies. PSN games running on Unity recently have had their fair share of issues. Now Assault Android Cactus is the exception. The game consistently sticks to 60 frames per second, loading times are extremely short, and I never ran into any sort of bug. Beyond Unity, this is straight up one of the most polished games I've played so far this year. Each playable android has a lot of depth to them. There's tons of enemies to encounter, and the arena is constantly shifting, really lend itself well to replayability and also score chasing. Assault Android Cactus is flat out one of the best twin-stick shooters I've played in recent memory. And if you're a score chaser, once you start digging into the depth of each character, it's going to be something that's really hard to put down.